Hi everyone, so today is part 2 and let's see how that goes. Mason is not asleep yet, so fingers crossed we have some time to film this. Okay, so for the core I'm going to mix the cobalt teal with the quinacridone gold just because I discovered that it's a very interesting combination, and the way that the pigments separate is very beautiful. I'm going to mix up a color, and I'm doing it with a flat brush. I keep forgetting to use this flat brush when doing swatches, because when doing it with the round brush gets worn so quickly, and I try to make it a habit, but I always forget about it in the end. So I'm doing it today. So over here is the quinacridone gold, and I'm going to mix it in. I mix a lovely green, sort of like a sap green, I'd say, or maybe olive green, somewhere in between the two. And I'm going to just apply it over here, and I think I'm also going to add a bit more quinacridone gold to this to see where I can take it. It's now a little bit too much. Just want to get a nice variation in color, so that's a good here. And then I'm going to add more of the cobalt teal. And I'm going to also just wash it out slightly here. Just add a bit of more water, because water helps to see what happens. Actually, I'm just going to drop a couple of drops on the top part of it so you can see the separation. Now, okay, so you can see how beautifully it's behaving. I love looking at the chemistry of the color. Very therapeutic. I wish I could do this 24/7, really. Maybe I need to do it 24/7. Anyways, jokes aside, so next one is Schmincke Horadam, and I'm going to grab their cobalt turquoise, which is over there, and you can see it, and I'm going to mix it up on a palette. I want you to see the process, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to use this little area here because you can see. So I'm going to get the schminke. What I really like about this particular color, the cobalt turquoise, is the fact that even after drying it still stays quite bright, because Schmincke's watercolors tend to I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's this color here. So Schmincke tend to dry to a softer color, so the color seems a lot more vibrant when it is wet and then dries softer, and that's okay, you know. I don't mind that. It's just something to think about depending what style you prefer. So here I have done roughly the same ratios before, and we get a true sap green. Beautiful color, love it. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of the quinacridone gold hue and see what I can get. Add a touch more of the cobalt teal, and I'm getting this lovely kind of green gold, I'd say. And now I'm going to add more of the cobalt teal and see what I can get. Just a touch more of that, and that should be right. Now I'm curious to see whether we're going to get anything similar in terms of color separation, and I'm going to also add a bit of water and let it flow, and that usually helps with seeing the color separation. Now I'm going to just drop in a couple of drops and see how that works. Now for Daniel Smith, I can't do these two because, like I said to you, I don't have them in the tube, and I just wanted you to at least see the pigment themselves as well as the transparency and the staining test. I was able to get a little bit more of the pigment from the dot card to do the Sleeping Beauty in the part 1, so if you want to have a look, then do that. But basically I won't be able to do this color mixing for them too. Now let's move on to the 2 miscellaneous. Okay, so this one is the Prima Confections, and it's going to be this one here. And let's see, I hope you can see like that. So the colors don't have any names, they just come by numbers, as you can see over here. So I'm going to use, I don't have the quinacridone gold, I have the only yellow I have here is the 05, which looks like a I don't know, something between lemon yellow and Hansa yellow, I suppose. So let's do that. So I'm going to go into the 07, which is this turquoise color right here, and I'm going to mix it up with the yellow. I'm loving the color separation here, it's just so stunning. I'm just going to clean up my yellow first because it has some color contamination there. And now it's nice and clean, and I'm going to mix it up. Oh, that's a pretty green, I love this green. Okay, so let's start around about here. Oh my gosh, that's a gorgeous green. See why it's helpful to do these type of tests? You just learn so much. Beautiful, love it. Then I'm going to add a bit more yellow, and that will take us even further into the yellow. Gorgeous color, very, very vibrant indeed. And finally I'm going to go back into the turquoise, or the, sorry, not the turquoise, into the teal, and add more, and that's the color we get. And then I'm going to just add a little bit of water just at the end here to make the color flow and separate if it needs to separate. So just like that. It doesn't flow as much, as you can see, and we also saw it in the color disperse test. If you haven't seen it, it's in part 1, so go have a look. I'm going to drop in some water, but I'm not expecting much to happen because it's a student grade watercolor, so it won't give you as interesting effects, but it is beautiful mixing these colors nonetheless. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up my Dr. P.H. Martin's lemon yellow. Again, that's the closest yellow I have in that set, and it settles a little bit here. I contacted the company, but they never got back to me. I asked them whether that's normal, whether I need to shake it up, whether I don't need to shake it up, what's the deal, but I never heard back from them, so I don't know really whether that's okay or not. So now with these I'm expecting a different behavior because it's a altogether different different thing. So I'm just going to create this green. It's going to be super bright, and I'm going to start here. Almost a very unnatural green, like close to a viridian, a green that I don't like. And now we're going to add a bit more of the yellow. I think I'm just going to just drop it in right into the color, into this little puddle, and we get the same sort of same hue but a lighter tone. Just going to do that over here, and now I'm going to go back into the turquoise blue and add a teensy little bit because it's very strong. I'm actually going to do it next to it rather than inside, because you can't control how big the drop is going to be. It's going to be always at the same size drop. So I'm just going to load my brush and go into that. There we go. That's a very extreme color. So I'm going to leave it at that, and very beautiful but very different. Obviously, as you can see, it's like the other end of these colors, but it's good to see a difference. And then I'm going to do that and let it spread a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to drop in a few drops and see how that goes, like so. Okay, I'm gonna let them dry now and then come back and show you nice close-up. Okay, so while the Dr. P.H. Martens is still drying, I thought I'll use the time and talk about these before the light starts to go down. So I wanted to show you the core cobalt teal in more action, and I've shown, I think I've shown these pages in some other videos, but I just wanted, in case you haven't seen, or if you're new to this channel, I just wanted to show you how interesting it is to work with the cobalt teal from QOR. So now that it's dried up, you can see how beautifully the color behaves. I particularly want to show you, let's see if I can go even closer now. So I want to show you the edge. So have a look at the edge right here. I think it's just so gorgeous how the watercolor, the cobalt teal pushes. It's so dominant that it pushes the quinacridone gold quite strongly to the edge, and then you get this beautiful line which you sort of get in Schmincke as well, and then you can see the color separation here as well. But I will show you where I use this cobalt teal in other illustrations and how beautifully you can create textures. So here, let me just zoom out for this one so you can see a bit more. So here I have got the quinacridone gold on its own, I believe, and then I mixed a little bit of the quinacridone gold together with the cobalt teal for these leaves, and you can see how gorgeous it looks. Now keep in mind that here, because of the cobalt teal generally being a granulating color, and this one is stated as semi-opaque, so it means that you have to, if you're working in this manner with an ink pen, fountain pen, you won't be able to see the black lines, so you have to work on top of it. So that's what I've done here, in case you wonder how the black line is so crisp. So let's have a look at the other one. Here is just a complete and utter experiment with cobalt teal and the other colors, and you can see how beautifully it mixes and pushes and just does all sorts of things. Very interesting pigment. And here as well, same thing, mixing it with other colors. get these beautiful, I mean, look at this, it's like a, I keep calling it a planet, it just looks like a planet. And here it's mixed with, I believe it was the quinacridone magenta, if I'm not mistaken, and I got such a big variety of tones, just 2 colors here. And you can see here I went with the cobalt teal over the black ink, and it's visible. Of course you can see that there are black lines, but it's just shows up as quite opaque because it's not as clear and crisp, so it changes the look of it. Here as well I was careful, this is very concentrated cobalt teal, I believe, on its own, and I was very careful to not go over the black ink lines because I inked it first and then went over with the watercolor. Wherever it's watered out it's absolutely fine, but when it's concentrated you need to be careful not to go over the lines. I think that is it. Yep, that's it. Now let's have a look at the Schmincke. We sort of already did, but I actually quite love the green I could get with the quinacridone gold hue. Very interesting color, very close to a sub green. And I was very pleased to see this lovely separation happening here as well. So it's quite beautiful. The color disperse is quite similar, and you can see that also here. It's very similar. Now let's move on to these two, which are completely different looking, but here of course the colors are very vibrant and beautiful, so that's fantastic because you know, it means that you can mix very vibrant colors. Some watercolors don't mix very well and they create muddy looks, but in this case very beautiful. I particularly like this first color, it's just so luscious and vibrant. Maybe not very natural compared to these two, but it's definitely great for some sort of whimsical art journaling type of thing. Looking at the blooms right here and at the color flow, you can see there is no color separation and the blooms are okayish, but there is not really anything happening as gorgeous as here, simply because it's a student grade. And we have seen that in this color disperse test, that the color didn't spread as well as Schmincke and QOR. So that was to be expected, but still the blooms do look nice. Now here, looking at the Dr. P.H. Martens, you can see a very dramatic result here, and I think it's just gorgeous. It's like the behavior of them is very dramatic and unpredictable, and I like that a lot. I like the colors. But they are very, very vibrant, and that's why I bought them, because they're so extremely vibrant and so extremely clear. It is absolutely, you can see the line completely clear, so you can pack on as much color as you want. You can dab the color from the pipette straight onto the line, and still you will be able to see the line absolutely fine. So I love that, and the color disperse has shown some really nice effects here, and apart from that, it's also gorgeous blooms. The water flow was very, very stunning. I love that, but you don't get any color separation because it's different to this type of watercolor, obviously. So that is it. I am happy that I was able to film this part of the video, because by the way, just before I go, I have mentioned what paper this is in the first part of the video, but just in case you're watching for the first time, this is the Winsor & Newton, and this is the hot pressed, and it's the 300 GSM watercolor paper. I really love this. This is probably the only hot press paper that I really love, because generally I like texture. I love cold press papers because of the tooth of the paper and the interest it gives. I love how the watercolor looks on top of that, and this hot press is perfect because although it's hot press, it basically still has some texture. So yeah, I hope that helps, and thanks for watching, and see you soon.